We've litigated hundreds of ERP implementation failures in courts across the country, and the allegations that we see, the nature of the dispute between the vendor and the customer, are almost always the same, and they follow a similar trajectory. That's what I want to talk about today. My name is Marcus Harris. I'm a software and technology attorney. For the past 20 years, I've devoted my practice to drafting and negotiating a variety of ERP-related contracts and litigating failed ERP contracts all over the country. So every ERP implementation failure is different, but the allegations that underlie the accusations that we see in the lawsuits that we litigate are almost always the same. One of the fundamental allegations that we will see is that the vendor misrepresented experience or misrepresented its skill set, whether that's in the particular industry that the customer is in or it is with the particular software at issue. The ERP vendor's response is typically something like the customer's project manager was inexperienced, didn't show up for meetings, didn't have the authority to make proper decisions. The ERP project team was essentially a revolving door of replacement consultants on the customer's side. They didn't understand the business processes. They didn't understand or have an interest in the business. And so they weren't able to address issues as they arose. So I think the expectation here is that for every allegation that you have as a customer, the vendor is going to have a tried and true response. One of the other allegations that we will see in these lawsuits is that the software functionality or capabilities or features were misrepresented during the sales cycle. And the vendor's typical response to this is that we had an open and transparent sales process. You, as a customer, were able to view the software in multiple demonstrations. We gave you customer references. You were able to do site visits. Again, it was an open and transparent process, and there was no misrepresentation. The other allegation that we will see is that the software is unusable post-go live. And the vendor's typical response is going to be something along the lines of, look, this software has been implemented and integrated in thousands of sites across the country or the world, on every continent, depending on how big your vendor is. And there are no issues with the software itself. This is a problem with your project. This is a problem with your team, or you have unreasonable expectations with respect to what the software is supposed to do. You want the software to work in a way that replicates your legacy software system and not in a way that was represented and documented in the software documentation and user manuals. Another customer allegation is that training in the ERP software was inadequate or non-existent. And again, the vendor's response is going to be something along the lines of that your people were not willing to be trained. They didn't have any kind of change management process that they were following. They were resistant to change. They didn't want to put in the work to understand the system. They didn't utilize super users that would then train other people. They were just kind of a laissez-faire, hands-off approach to this. Another common allegation that we will see is that the ERP software vendor underbid the implementation process to get the customer signed up, and it was a wild guess or it was something that was incredibly unreasonable. And the vendor's response is going to be really to shrug their shoulders and to say, well, look, we implemented the software and provided you with an estimate of the implementation based on what we knew then, based on what you had told us. Your requirements throughout the implementation process were consistently changing. You wanted unnecessary modifications or customizations to the software. You wanted the software to work in a way that it was not intended to work, or you wanted to replicate your legacy system. One of the other allegations that we'll see, and this is often what leads to litigation, is that the customer believes that the software is beyond repair, that it will never work, and that the relationship is not salvageable. And essentially, the software vendor's response is going to be, again, we have the experience with respect to our own software to be able to implement this software for you. You walked away from the implementation. You did not give us more time. You did not have more patience. If you would have spent more money, we would have gotten this project to work for you as represented and as contractually obligated to do. But you lost confidence in us and in the software itself and unnecessarily walked away from the project and didn't give the project a good chance. These are the typical allegations that we will see, and they really underpin in some way or another, most of the disputes that we get involved in. And again, this is a common theme, and you will see these translated into the litigation context via a complaint and the kinds of allegations that we make in a complaint, which would typically be things like fraudulent inducement, negligent misrepresentation, breach of contract, breach of warranty, unjust enrichment, breach of the duty of good faith and fair dealing. And so we take all of these allegations and then we conform them to whatever legal causes of action that we have, and then we supplement the complaint with the factual context and background to make sure that those legal allegations are legally supportable and not subject to a motion to dismiss. If you have any questions about any of the issues discussed in this video, please feel free to reach out to us at taftlaw.com. We'd love to talk to you and point you in the right direction.